And instead we get lost going off to all these other directions because they're pulling at our attention and not connected. Yep. Yep. And so you want to find a way to unify these elements and to use the different values to guide the eye and connect things.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
we're back with another brush sauce critique session. It's later in the evening now, and it's just Jess and I tonight. We're going to go through everyone's challenges. I think if I counted right, good chance I could do it wrong. There's 11 here. So how you doing? Thank you for joining me tonight.
Yeah, good. It's nice to do them in the evenings. We get to
It
do
is.
it over glass and not feel irresponsible.
And for anyone, that's the only reason why Adam isn't here, just because the scheduling overlap this month is just way too stressful. So the easiest time, a lot of us, 2 out of 3 of us, can have this time. It works, so we're going with that. Hopefully we can get Adam back on though again. And yeah, I got a good Mai Tai in my tiki glass. What are you working over there?
Some 1792 whiskey.
Can't go wrong. So we have a little bit of
Pretty much my staple.
yeah, we got some honest serum in us, and we're gonna evaluate the challenge, of course. And the theme was Monster House. So of course it was all during October. We're now
Happy Halloween, everyone, by the way.
happy Halloween. Yeah, we're back by a late like a week or two.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hope for the best. Happy Halloween. All right, so we'll start off here, Rafa. This is interesting. Monster House.
Also,
I get
I
it.
will say, Tyler and I did not have time to look at these beforehand, so these are all fresh to
Yeah,
us.
we usually can screen these all to a degree over a very casual hangout or Monday nights hangout, which you guys should check the link below if you ever want to come join us from the Discord. And we kind of, with the whole group, we go through and make a bit of a commentary on them. But we basically, right, have not seen these at all and have no kind of thoughts whatsoever. So we're going in very fresh, very hot and fresh. I get this. Look at this. This is a frog house,
That's
also
a
on a
monster.
tree.
It's a fun idea, like a tree house that's like a little monster.
This might be the
Like a
most.
birdhouse.
I haven't seen the others, I would say, but like, this is very creative. I don't know if it exactly works, but the idea is you can see the gears turning.
Yeah, the concept is fun. I think that like playing with shapes could have been useful. Like the opening of the house, like to make it look more like a mouth instead of kind of an off perspective box. The shape of the tongue coming out, or like to give it like a curve or a little bit of dynamicism, if that's even a word.
That is the right word.
I think you know what I mean.
Don't ask my opinion on words, though. I'm bad with them.
Or even like the way that the arms intersect with the box. I just think, or even the trees have like a very like, here's a cylinder, here's a cylinder. So just playing with shapes and making more interesting shape designs to tell your story and to move the eye through the image would make it a better painting.
Yeah, because we have like a lot of what's going on here, and then kind of right as an extension of that, we have this. But like, what is this tongue action actually doing? Is this to serve as a walkway to lure like little peeps coming in? Is it actually catching something?
Shooting out like a frog.
And that's what I'm saying, right? Like the core functionality, like there's a disconnect in terms of like what is trying to be established here.
And I think it was like a lost opportunity because instead of having this really cool moment of the tongue hitting a bird and pulling it back into the mouth, instead it just creates this vertical line that leads you out of the painting in a very straight, undynamic way.
Yeah, and that's my first like surface level big thing I'd adjust. It's like the composition isn't doing it any favors in terms of like what it's trying to say, what it's trying to make us feel, you know, as the audience. So that would just have to be like more planning on the back end. There's also weird things too. I'm noticing the more I look at this, like there's a bird here that also feels really, I guess the scale of all this, I don't understand the scale in terms of like human measures. There's another bird here up in the corner, and they're all like resting along the top of the composition for some reason. I don't know why. But like, is this frog like actual? I mean, it's not the size of a frog because a little bird's resting on it, and there's a railing here. But like, how big is a human, right? Like that's what it's like. Is a person walking on here like that? Is a person
No,
this?
I think it's the scale of birds, like a little birdhouse. I
Is
think
it a
it's meant to
birdhouse?
catch birds. Yeah.
I
I don't
wish
think
that
it's like
was.
for humans.
You're probably right, but again,
Yeah, like
it's
the
odd.
bird scale is like it's a slightly big birdhouse would be, and with the width of the trees.
I want to call a couple other things that are um, present here. There's some other design elements you have in here, like this really clear kind of pattern here, here, and here. Like obviously there are probably some sort of mushroom or growth on the thing, but because they're so visually distinct, they're
They just
very
feel like
present.
they just feel like weird stripes across the
Yeah,
painting. They don't feel like they have any volume or placement
and
in space.
none of them are on the foreground tree either that kind of could tie it all together. So they just like my eye as a human, right, detects and picks up on that. My attention is drawn to it because it is a pattern, it is a rhythm. And so you're pulling my eye into weird places for unknown reasons or for no reason. So you have to watch that, especially when comparing to what the actual right focal element is. We're going to go for a new layer. The other part that's doing that, again, it's the only shape in the scene, the only color and value doing this in the scene as well, is this shape
Yeah,
right
that's
here.
driving me crazy.
Like it's driving me crazy too. I mean, it's obvious enough what it is. It's a clear little hole in the sky, but like, why is that the absolutely the only one
And the
in
brightest point on the whole
in
painting.
the
I
scene?
honestly think just filling it in with green would make it a better
At this
painting.
stage, absolutely.
Hmm.
So I think, of course, it doesn't look finished, and you're probably clearly more toward the beginner, and that's fine. This is a great way to learn. Um, just a lot of it is compositional, and a lot of it's design choices. Well beyond any kind of technical things in regards, and I don't even want to go there with it because, in regards to lighting and texture and painting, I think
Yeah.
90% of this image's situation lies in the design of the picture itself.
Yeah, I think just like if you were to look at like some pictures of trees and get some interesting curvy shapes that like break apart and lead the eye through the picture, it would be so much more interesting. If you were to have that tongue curve around in such a way and have it hitting a bird like front front and center, like on that edge. Well, not on the edge, but in the painting. Like it would just be so much more interesting of
Yeah.
a painting and a story, and it wouldn't be pushing our eye out. I would actually have it come over into that other third,
Yeah,
like have it kind of
I,
curve
I I'm
up.
trying to get the color right, but like do something with it, or like catch a bird on it.
Like
The
where
thing,
you just covered up the tongue with green, I would put the bird
mm,
right there
right
in
here.
that like third line.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, right
something.
in there.
The other thing is with this as a last note, right? We have like a lot of verticals that's pretty consistent, but then like awkwardly so. Like there's that one tree that's falling over into this. And again, a lot of these lines, right,
I
they're pushing us over to here, but there's no peg off.
Yeah, and I think the diagonal was meant to break up all the vertical lines, but I think it actually would have been better served. A more natural diagonal would have felt going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Is like that tree maybe was splitting into two, and but joined at the base. Um, and if you just zoomed out a little bit and gave those trees a little room to breathe and gave like a little room for like the tongue to wrap around and have the bird, because right now you're just so close onto that tree house that you're not giving yourself any room to like do anything other than like here is a straight glimpse of a tree trunk.
For a very thickly foliaged scene too, the trees are also themselves awkwardly bare. There's no
Mhm.
branches going off, there's no leaves. It feels overly staged in that it feels very synthetic as an end result of that. So that's another we're I just want to end it on there. All right. Good. Thank you
Yeah,
for
I
joining,
would
Rafa.
just looking at like some photos of like some interesting trees and like maybe trying to find one that has like kind of a grouping of trees you could use for that painting that have an interesting shape to them, and then how you could piece that tree or birdhouse onto one of the trees in a setup like that instead of trying to make it all up from your head.
Yeah, make up less, reference more, right?
Hmm.
Sammy's,
This
look at
one's
this.
really cool.
This is rad. This
Yeah,
person knows a deal or two about color. Look at that. This is how
and
you make
storytelling.
whites grays, neutrals, whatever you want to categorize them as interesting, because this person's
Hmm.
doing it really well. There's storytelling, there's floating candy. I love candy. I love it. I love it. And I love glowing lights. Those are also fun. Um, so yeah, this I gotta get the big stamps, get the brush seal of approval. I want to get
It's true.
more contrast on this dude though. It's like he gets a little lost over here.
Yeah.
What else are you thinking? I mean, I'm not gonna have much for this because
I
I
feel like
like a
it's
lot of
pretty
it.
solid. Yeah.
I
I don't want
I
to like
I
nitpick things that don't need nitpicking. There is something about the way that meat hook is overlapping with the branch and the door that feels a little tangenty
look at
to
that.
me. My eye keeps going over there when it should.
This.
Yeah.
What is
It
that though? Yeah, it feels a
it's
little out
pretty
of
cool looking
place.
and terrifying, but the way that it's like
I feel
overlapping the door and the thing, like something about it is calling way too much attention to
Yeah, and
itself.
there's and the other I think there's a lot of attention to it, like you said, because there's not any contrast behind it. A lot of it does get right kind of washed out. Like we don't see any of the cracks or creases in the boards, and so
Maybe
it
to have it as dark as you have like on the other side and then with just the
yeah.
fleck of light showing through like on the other side.
Yeah, I think there needs to be like a little more contrast. See, like a little of this color also in over here because a little bit of it gets too lost, I'd say.
Mhm.
But I mean, this is like
This is
85%.
nitpicking.
This, yeah, and this is like 85% there. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, just so that doesn't, and that post that's sticking out of the ground right underneath it, I would tilt it a little more so it doesn't look like it's supposed to line up with the handle. That's just a little,
yeah,
I think that's the tangent my
T
brain is calling to.
tangent police. You've been on top of that the last couple, as far as I remember. I
I
like
don't know,
that.
I
I
feel like
like
I'm
you
not used
calling them
to,
out, cause like that's all I do all day. So I
and
like to take a
I
break.
don't even think it's a real tangent. It's just enough that
It's
my eyes
enough.
like, what's over here? Look at this, look at this.
It's enough. See, I get like a little bit of this color in over there too. Like this color is really good. A little bit.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I would say that darker bit around the door makes it feel just a little more ominous, and it makes that brightness in the tunnel feel more meaningful.
But I really love this.
Yeah, this
Like
is
there's the right
really
amount
fun.
of highlights popping, right amount of mystery, storytelling's fantastic. Oh, this is great. Thank you for your lovely
I
submission.
have one quick nitpick.
Oh,
The
here it
hand,
is.
sorry, the hand between the two figures is popping a little too much. Like it's very orange and very flat and very
Mm.
bright for where it is. I would maybe desaturate it a little bit and just make it a little more shadowed and less bright so it doesn't call so much attention to itself.
You heard it from the boss herself. Desaturate the hand. Unrelatedly, my daughter gave me a new title this week. I am now called in this house the dinner boss, but mom's the regular
Um,
boss, and I'm the dinner boss because I facilitate
it's gonna be the
dinners.
boss of something.
I facilitate the dinners around here. So my 4-year-old has titled me the dinner boss over here. So I'm finally glad I've earned my keep around here,
Sounds very important.
dishing out the chicken nuggets and the cucumbers. Boogie, 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 boogie. I like it. Cool.
This is cool. I love like desaturated monochromatic art, so this is right up my alley. The house is very spooky. The idea of it is just
I do.
very, very cool. The main thing that's calling to me about this one is all of the empty space. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like the painting is this little tiny bit and then like just big empty space, which, can be done. Like there are minimalist paintings, but then it's all in like the how you use that negative space, like the interesting light and how you break up the space with light
Hmm.
or clouds or things like that. Whereas this one, it just felt empty.
It just took a little amputation. That's all.
Hmm.
I
Like
like.
if you gave it an interesting sky or like the way that the light broke behind the house in the sky, I think could help.
You see, that's my next thing. Like, I would try to do like that classic little sliver where you get like a little bit of color breaking through like the clouds maybe on the horizon. You could mess with
Or
it almost anywhere,
or
but
light, just even just little flecks of light coming through the clouds or little shadows in the clouds. So it doesn't feel um it's
yeah.
it, I'm trying to think of the right word. The word boring comes to mind, and it's not quite right. You want to have little accents that make the emptiness feel meaningful. Because I do really like a bleak sensibility that this
Yeah,
has.
it's tricky to. I know what you're saying.
But then you want to have little pops that make the bleakness worthwhile. Yeah, that's pretty.
See something like really subtle, and then like also at the same time, like if we did something like that and came up from underneath it, I'm gonna do this really dreadfully bad here, but right, like we see kind of like the bottom of some clouds to some capacity,
Hmm.
like that. Just oh shit. I'll spend like more time trying to get a sky right doing just the subtle stuff than I will sometimes an entire painting. It should not be taken so lightly.
Except you don't want it as a tangent with the top of the roof. You want it more
Yeah,
like
I mean, see, call me on my shit. Let's just nudge it down. Let's just nudge
yeah,
it
yeah,
down.
just a touch.
You should have not said anything until the end and
Just
and
let
then
it bother you.
no, and just said like I was wondering how long that was going to take you to see. I noticed
Oh,
it 5 minutes ago. See, okay, we're just going to push that. That actually helped it a lot. I'm going to do that on this side too. Deal with it.
hmm?
Right? See a little lower. And then like these to see kind of massaging that paint out. But
Yeah, I would
anyway,
even have that come down and intersect with the other house too, the other roof, so you get kind of like this nice V.
yeah, and anyway, trying to get a little bit more of that light, kind of like I had going back there, just to pop, or break right through that. If you, again, the subtlety is the name of the game here with this stuff, and it's way easier said than done. And
Yeah, especially quickly.
yeah, so try a little, take like see like you just want like a little bit of that light.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has
No,
to be little flecks that give interest to the empty space.
I'd actually recommend it not be dramatic at
Hmm.
all and keep it. See, like mine's probably way too much. I'd say it's way. But yeah,
But
like
I mean,
that's an
like,
idea. We're just chucking
yeah,
ideas out. Whether that way, the other thing I think you do is get. I think you got to play up reflections
yeah,
and
little flecks of light hitting things.
yeah, like that. That could definitely be done. Sorry, I'm
And
quite a
I
bit
would
stuffy.
say, aside from like the compositional things and the value things, I do feel like the actual focal point, this crab house, is very under rendered. It
Yeah,
doesn't feel finished. It feels like you have all this negative space, all this bleak emptiness, which is cool looking, but you want something that comes into focus that gives it all meaning. And the crab house kind of stays kind of loose and rough and empty itself. And I would get in there and give it like a little bit of verisimilitude.
that is a big word. Like this
Sorry.
is like this is
I
way too
blame the
late to use.
whiskey.
The whiskey comes in and the dictionary comes out. Jesus.
It's just you want it to have a little bit of that
Yeah,
crunchiness of reality and something that feels like a payoff for all of the empty neutral
you're
space.
right. And this is also how I would do it too. Bringing in the reflections, bring in some nice smaller shapes of rocks as well to help break up
Mhm.
some of those silhouettes.
The
Then,
reflections are pretty.
and then getting some speculars on those and then really clarifying those dudes back there. So there's some ideas for you. It's really
And
cool.
the crab in particular could be kind of, it's wet and crustacean-y, so it could have little highlights and flecks of
Yeah.
things that could make it more visually
The
interesting.
biggest deal with him, right, is that he's the exact color and value as like the house material. And like this I would right, I'd get that to change some way, like make it lighter, make it darker than the actual crab itself. Change the color up on that, whatever 10%. Do something different.
I kind of like that he blends in with the house, but for me it's more a matter of like he's just so soft and fuzzy. Like there's no real
Look,
sense. Like
you don't have to go
when
crazy
he
though. See?
feels like he's part of the house is kind of cool, but like when you want him to like come to life, he hasn't quite come to life. He's just kind of this soft blob of a crab.
Really interesting submission though. I like it.
It's a great idea. I love it.
Timu. Monster
It's
House.
like a very classic, like spooky haunted house.
This is extremely well rendered, and the atmosphere is on point. The color's on point. Everything about this is on point, except for it slightly doesn't fit the theme of the challenge because I don't see anything to indicate monster in this. Do you? Am I missing it?
Other than like the general idea of it being like a haunted house, it feels like a haunted house in the woods.
It
It's not
does, but
explicit,
yeah, there's
but
no
I mean,
monster aesthetic of it. But I mean, aside from that, I love everything about it. This is
I
great.
I do feel like the yellow gets a bit oppressive in the
Okay.
fact that it's like so much over everything. I kind of want to see some variation, something like where it goes into shadows, where it cools down maybe, or
Shit,
I don't know.
that's some subtle stuff. Like usually
There's
when
like
I had to do this yesterday with a student. It was an orange problem, not a yellow problem. What I ultimately did, this is such a shorthand way, but like you gotta like desaturate it, the whole painting, maybe make it 10% darker, and then add in some color that is not yellow, right? So like a little blue or a little cyan,
yeah, I was gonna say the color balance is really helpful for this sort of
and
thing.
then blend. Is it maybe under red or green? Get the so you can kind of choose where see where you want those yellows.
Then it makes like the glowing windows and stuff more meaningful.
It certainly does. Yeah, a little bit more there. What's this one do? Yeah, that one will bring it everywhere, which you don't want. But yeah,
And
that's a
it
subtle
does
way.
it's something that I run into a lot with my paintings too, where it's like when you get to the end of the painting, you've kind of been immersed in the painting for so long, you see the color like as having all this variety. And then when you step away from it for a few days and you come back and like do some level adjustments, all of a sudden you see like that you went really far into this. It almost looks like it has a filter over the whole painting of a color. And you just play with like what Tyler just did with the color balance and stuff, and you can pull it out and give it a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
temperature variety so it doesn't feel like it has a filter over the whole image.
Yeah, I'd do that, and then value-wise, I'd probably raise this general ground area up just a little bit. So there's my selection skills at the forefront. That's what people show up for. They show up for the selections because they're so
It's
good.
true. It's true.
Um,
Who could deny?
sugar this, sugar up that. Here we go. Here we go. What was I doing?
You gotta get that layer on top, I think.
Yeah, well, no,
Oh
we're
no.
gonna we're gonna force it right through. A little bit of that, a little bit of this, but yeah, get that ground plane extra situated there. But yeah, this is
Oh,
good.
and this might be a weird distinction. Tyler might disagree, but there's something about the bright white light that's really throwing me
Oh,
off in the
I
window.
hate that. I just was writing that off like it was a like it was an accidental thing. It's so out of place. I didn't even
It
want to
feels,
talk
yeah,
about
like
it,
the
but I
house
should
feels
have.
so creepy and old, and then that just feels like a modern
This is,
window, a modern color of light,
but it
like,
doesn't
and
even
it
make
doesn't
sense.
match the other. Yeah,
It says white.
it's just white, and it doesn't add to the painting in any way. Like if you chose an ominous color like red or blue or something, so it felt like weird, but instead it just feels like, oh, they just have a fluorescent light bulb
Yeah,
there.
it's weird.
Doesn't make it creepier.
See, like you could bring in these other colors subtly in a few places, right? Bring it in. See that? It's like a little in that bottom floor, and then just balance out that for where you want it. Of course, I think that's too high, but you could get that looking
Yeah,
extra
so it's like there's like some
spooky.
creepy hellfire going on in there or something.
Yeah, good stuff though.
Cool piece. And the composition was
It's really
very
good.
nice too. Yeah, it
Composition's
doesn't
amazing.
call attention to itself. It's very natural feeling.
I always have. Okay, this is Chopstick Honey Bee. That is the name of the episode. Right there, that is the name, the best username ever. I wish my mom named me that. That is awesome. Okay.
So
With that said, I'm gonna say right now because I'm gonna make you talk first because I have no idea what's going on here. Truthfully,
I think I know. I think I know
you
the
go.
idea that you're getting at. I think they're trying to show the house or building, hence the geometric grid shape, is melting or merging into this monstrous creature. Like it looks like it's meant to be a corner of a structure that's turning into this gruesome creature. Maybe.
Maybe. I can buy that. I think I could buy that. I don't know what I thought it was, but it wasn't that. But now that you said it, I can see that. Is that
I
good or
could
a
be
bad thing?
completely wrong. So I
Well,
don't know.
the comments, they'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, they'll definitely let me
They
know if
keep
I'm
you
wrong.
in, they can keep you in check over there.
They'll let me have it, you know.
This is a very interesting picture. Um, it's like with the way things are highlighted, it's like just you know what I mean? It has a very unique rendering style to it.
It
It's
feels more,
uniform, it's cohesive, but it's like I don't see something like this much.
yeah, and I apologize if we're misunderstanding your interpretation or like your idea, like we're misinterpreting what it is that you're trying to express here, but there's some things that make it confusing. So like the flat negative space behind the figure goes
Very
almost to
confusing.
black. So it flattens the whole thing out and makes us not quite understand what the different
Because it's
structures
like
are.
right, that's like black and then this is white almost. It's like and then there
Right.
is some orange
So
being
if this is a
utilized.
building, then it would be like there would be stuff inside of it. But instead we just have black. So we have no context for what type of object we're looking at. And then the ground plane also is kind of just this flat, neutral brown color that everything else is, that doesn't have any indication of what type of materials it is.
Yeah,
And I think that's another problem is we can't tell what type of materials
that was like a
anything
liquid
is made up
black
of.
goo. Maybe like I don't know, right? Because
Mhm.
I don't
I
know.
do get the feeling that the
Jet R.
structure is glass, just because the clouds up on the
Yeah.
left corner make me think that it's reflecting something.
What? I'm trying to think. What would I do with this? Would I try to like envision some kind of demonoid void thing behind it? Like I'm trying to let my imagination stretch on this.
I'm
I
not sure.
and I have
My
no
idea
idea.
would
That's kind of the
my
fun
idea
part of
would
it.
be to give it more context so the viewer knows what they're looking at, so the viewer isn't guessing what they're looking at. So
Yeah,
my thought
well,
is
that's a lot
if
of
it's
rendering.
it's true. But if it's a structure, like let's just go with the premise that what we think it is what it is. If it is a structure, then that would be the interior of a room. So what clues of like what context clues could you give us that would let us know that that was inside of a structure, a floor plane, a
A
door in the background, a
sidewalk,
wall, or
right?
yeah, and then the floor plane in front should again
Road
give us
line,
clues. Is it grass? Is it cement? Is it,
fire hydrant right here, phone booth.
yeah, also scale is
So
lost
yeah,
because
like
there's not enough.
it's completely lost. I have that's so many things. Let's see,
So
like
I think a lot of this comes back to like how to communicate visually your idea. Like how do you tell the viewer the
what is it
story?
about? What is
Yeah.
it about?
And right now all we can see is there's almost a humanoid figure that looks like it's being made out of something that's hard to tell what material it is melting into this humanoid
It's like
monster.
is it wax or is it something? I too many questions. See, like you'd have to if it's some kind of reflectedness, like bring I don't know some of that color in. I don't know. It's
Yeah, because we
stumped.
have no clues as to like the material. If it's
It's
glassy,
like
if
melted
it's
glass. Is that what glass looks like when it's melted?
if it's glass, that would kind of make sense why it looks like it's reflecting the sky and why they would use so many white highlights because they were trying to imply the surface quality of glass. In which case, I would say maybe to do some studies of glass, like look at real like glass figures and sculptures and see what they look like and try to paint them from photos so you get a better sense of that material.
Yeah, I think we should probably leave it at that and not get into like the specifics of the anatomy and what the pose communicate. Like I, because it's too many open.
Yeah, I feel like we don't have enough context to
Like
dig in.
this seems like there's drapery on there, but the drapery doesn't look referenced. It's just everything that I look at and try to break down without working with this person one-on-one, it just raises more questions. So it's like we're gonna spiral down. We're just gonna leave it at that for now.
But I hope that was helpful, like with the ways that we got lost in the image, like the areas that could help to improve.
I have a general piece of advice I give in situations like this that I'm sure some of you that have watched a lot of these are like, do something easier that's a little closer to your level, like five it's relative, like 5 to 20% above what you're comfortable doing, because it looks like you went like 50 to 60% of what you're not normally used to doing, so therefore it's like a lot of challenge, and a lot kind of bears down on that. Whoops. We have Felix. Well, Felix got a nice little house. No
this
monster.
Has like a cool noir.
I mean, it's subtle that it's like, yeah, that's kind of like a mouth, and it's well rendered. It's well rendered.
My brain says monster house. I would take it.
But like the other one, it's like I also just want to see a figure in there, or I want to see like an arm coming out of this thing.
You like things more on the nose. I like the subtlety. I like how like the iron posts. What are those called?
It's because I have a big nose.
The rhubarb.
Rebarb. You're thinking of ice cream.
No, the rebarb sticking up and like hanging down. It feels like teeth. It gives this like really subtle impression of like things inside of the mouth, and I think it's really cool. I like that.
The mood is awesome and it's subtle, but I have a few other technical issues despite the subtlety. Because yeah, it's great for that, but it's like I also want to see like a little girl lost there, or some kind of,
that would
like,
be really good
some
for storytelling.
right? Some accent in here, whether it's like a yellow or
peering in.
This is criminally on. It's cropped weird.
Yeah, like I mean, I am getting that kind of like detective noir cropping. That's kind of fun, but I think it's cropped in actually a little too close. Yeah,
it's gotta come out. And then there's no easy hack for this. I'm just stretching pixels. But yeah, something like that's not gonna work. We're not gonna fix it like that today, folks. But it is what it is. Yeah. Ground, generic ground. I'd get more ground plane. That's the moral. Oh, I'm on color dodge. Don't color dodge your ground, folks. It will make you a sinner. All right.
That sounds legit.
Yeah, something like that. We got a nice broken up plane. Looks ganky, but there.
But yeah, I do think having like a small child peering into that mouth would just give it that like touch of ominous.
Right.
That, like
a little girl in a yellow or like a red or like even like an off pink coat. It's like kind of blowing, and right, like I can just envision it all, like a little hand holding this. Got like little cat friend with her. You gotta have a companion friend.
Pull those heartstrings, you know.
You gotta have a companion, like, kind of right, peering in there. You get all this lighting looking rad on like my picture, and then what the hell is this little skin right like there, and like just.
I like the black emptiness inside.
Yeah, I was like, because you could fudge some red eyes. You could, if anything, you could add some. Keep it abstract. Like, don't do anything.
I love how big it is.
Like, I wouldn't even do anything like with eyes, but like if you have like some weird shape in there, that in some universe you can create something insanely subtle with that, which I don't know if I have the solution to right here, but like, yeah, that's not gonna work. But like, I see. Yeah, like a glow, really, like, but not
a touch of like texture in the background. So there's a sense of space.
But yeah, sometimes just doing like.
But you don't want to break up that feeling of the black maw.
Yeah, you gotta.
It's gotta be super subtle.
You gotta.
Like when you first touched it, it kind of had that feeling.
It's gotta be a subtle thing. But I do that, and then it's just like, how do you make the rest of the composition work for this?
There is something about the other side of the building that's in light. That light is actually it feels a little overpowering. No, the other side where the bright white's cutting in.
It's too much. I'd get rid of this. This feels out of place. I get rid of that.
Like I would almost tone down that brightness a little bit.
Yeah,
Put
well,
some dark clouds in the sky or something.
that's way too high.
Yeah, the contrast just really, it feels almost like the painting is cut right where that side of that building is. And it's a little too sharp or harsh.
Like
Yeah.
something, I don't know. I have to play with it, but
Yeah.
you can see you can mess with it. Almost like dial it in.
I wouldn't make it brighter, but
Brighter?
no, I wouldn't
No.
make it brighter. It was already
See,
too
yeah,
hot.
see if you go darker, then you can re-establish your silhouettes that, right? We lost in there, right? Something kind of like that. F it. I think just like a bit more. But yeah, I agree. I agree there. I like this. And see, like, if I'd go further with it, just to fill out some of the space, there's a lot of space not contributing, right? I'd have her little friends scared on. Go back to take Will Terry school. Tell you about the storytelling, right? For Jake Parker. You have the little kids all hunched over, right? And they're all nervous, and this is the one brave kid. And they're just floating heads, but like, this is their pajamas or whatever, right? And these are the kids.
Don't do it.
And they're
Don't go in.
and they're yeah, don't go in. And they got like their little flashlights and stuff, and that's a flashlight. God, my shorthand drawings are pure today. But like you can really do so much with something like that. But what is there is great though. Really
Yeah,
is.
I love, like, especially that part of the building where you have the mouth. Like, I feel like that was just very well executed. Very well.
Nathan. Ooh, this is the first picture we are inside the monster house. I have been waiting for this. Oh, look at that. It's eye and tongue everywhere.
And dripping things.
Teeth.
Dripping things everywhere. I don't think I want to be in that house.
It's just a little moist. Just a little. This is cool.
It's almost got like a D&D feel to it, like the little adventurers down there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Oh man.
The problem with this is not the idea, and that is this particular idea made up of all of these organic textures with all of these like man-made art lighting all over this would be like, I'd feel very uncomfortable trying to get this to the level that I'd want it to be because of how difficult.
It's a lot.
It is a lot of work, and this is like a very high level painting to nail. We're talking about all the little, like, you get it. I could see, because you're adding some of that in the ground with like these highlights here, but like this would just be step one. It's like we got to get in there and make a living tissue-esque sort of wall, and this would be like the color rough for it. Is my biggest deal with it. It's that
it feels unfinished.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like the drool, the drippy things feel like I just drew a line here that's light, hence it's a drippy thing, as opposed to like I have rendered what globs of saliva look like falling from the ceiling.
I'm gonna see if I have one window somewhere. I don't think I do. The Google Meet. Okay, I don't. We're doing a new setup, and I don't know where. I'm gonna mess it up. So
Sorry, Skype.
I was gonna I
tonight.
was gonna look for a reference on this, but yeah, this is rad. It's like too black and black's areas. It needs
I feel like
more
it gets
atmosphere.
blown out. It gets blown out very quickly. So your darks go to black, and there's a lot of light in this room. You've got torches everywhere. You've got glowing eyes. You've got this gleaming white fog, monstrous being up there. You've got a lot of light, but there's just black everywhere. And then your light, not so much with the reds. I feel like you've controlled those more, but the blue light goes to white very quickly. And another thing would be the composition. So my eye is really struggling where to go. I've got like this cool
Yeah.
mouth with light on this corner. I've got this eyeball peeking out of the darkness over here behind a column that's cutting it off from the rest of the painting. I've got this cool figure up
This is like
top
really
cut by like
light.
a giant dark band that separates it from the tiny figures in the foreground. So there's no visual flow. There's nothing that's
There's not a
leading my
flow.
eye between the important things. So like you have these tendrils coming down from this monstrous being on top here that's kind of like the baddie. But instead of like using that to connect the eye with the adventurers down below, instead you have this black wall that kind of tells us these are two separate scenes. And
Hmm.
instead we get lost going off to all these other directions because they're pulling our attention and not connected. Yep. Yep. And so you want to find a way to unify these elements and to use the different values to guide the eye and connect things. And actually it's from Chris Oatley. One of the things that he would use to explain it is you want to think of the painting as having like a heart and veins. So visual flow are the veins that connect the heart to the important parts of the piece. And right now it feels like the big bad guy surrounded by the light is the heart of the painting. And so how do you use visual flow like veins to connect to the important parts of the painting, to the adventurers,
Yeah.
instead of separating it so dramatically from the rest of the painting?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. But this is our cool idea. Really is.
It's a cool idea, definitely. And I would just play
A
with,
very
honestly, like
difficult one.
I would crop it in. I feel like there's so
Yes.
much detail going off on the sides that you're getting lost in the weeds over there, and the viewer is too. I would cut that mouth, yeah.
Hard. Cut it in.
And like that stuff is cool, but they're almost like separate paintings. And then like how do you connect this figure up top with the I would just have some of that light spilling down, like breaking up that big dark shadow that's separating them.
It's true. And you could do that. There's like hundreds of ways. You could bring in some of that blue light, have it transition, to the other colors that you have in the scene. But some kind of atmosphere, the atmo, right? It's gonna fill our imagination and obscure it. Like think if this was a set on a movie, they're gonna have the smoke, those fogger.
I would even have some of that brilliant white light that's behind him like coming down towards the figures. So it's like almost like it would catch them and shrine them.
Oh, oh, for sure. And then you could, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's tough, right? You gotta get the that
Yeah.
atmosphere going.
And see, then the columns will serve more as like
Framing.
visual flow, framing. Yeah, they'll stop the eye from going off to the side. Hmm.
Gotta do it. Gotta bring the foggers on set today.
And then also, if that fog comes down in front of the figures, it'll also help frame them better as opposed to all that noisy brickwork in front of them, which is distracting.
It it is. The angle wouldn't be my first pick.
I,
It's not terrible, but yeah, wouldn't be mine.
I wouldn't put it up in the foreground so much. I would put it like on that
And
area where
around.
the pavement is really bright. I would soften a lot of that with fog and make it look like they're walking into the cloud.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, okay.
Dictating over here.
Yeah, yeah. Micromanaging my fog. I've had clients do that before. I don't want to go back there.
Oh, shit.
No, so you do that. I get it. Yeah, they're loud and they're poppy and they're snappy and that
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. This would be like step one, organizing detail and density, and then you pick it. That's how you get out of one of these paintings that's really difficult. You just fog the hell out of it so you don't have to paint all those details, and then you find like the one or two little eyes, one or two areas on the ground, and you detail those. You double up the effort there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
You got it, dude. All right. Pixel man. Here we go. Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this.
Huh.
I have never seen this before. But
I'm intrigued.
this has got some character and some technical execution going on for it. Look at this. He's got like an exoskeleton and shit. Like his legs are extra reinforced. Maybe he can jump 20% higher. Maybe
I
run faster.
I have no idea what's going on here, but it's so creepy and so cool.
I don't
I
either.
really like it. Like, I have no idea what this thing that they're pouring goop into. I have no idea what the goop is. I have no idea why these robot creatures have itty bitty houses on their backs when the man is obviously like kind of proportional to them.
Some people
There's
may
so many questions,
some
but
people
I
may
love
call
it.
us hypocrites because like there's been some paintings this session we were like, I don't know what's going on here. This has got a lot of trouble.
But
But like
see,
at the same time with this, it's like I don't know what's going on here, but I'm also it kind of tickles me in a weird way.
but it's not that we don't know what things are. Like that's
Yeah,
clearly a
that I guess
person. That's clearly a
that's the
structure.
difference. That's the
These are
difference.
clearly itty bitty houses
Rock.
for these robots.
This
Yeah,
is
it's not that we don't know what it is. We don't know why it's arranged the way it is. But there's so much personality like in those little robot faces, and the gesture of the guy feels so natural.
it,
It's really well executed.
this is rad.
And I would like to say for the guy that did the monochromatic crab house, look at the way that this person's treated the
Mm-hmm.
background, the sky,
Callback.
how it's very subtle, but it's just enough to give it like visual interest, like just little pops of interest. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to communicate with the other sky.
What the biggest question is, what are these house creatures for? Who are the residents of these
I couldn't
guys?
begin to tell you this story.
Is it the weasels? Is it little crickets? Is it ferrets? I think these are ferrets' houses. Or chinchillas. You ever seen one of those little fuckers?
They're strange little
Yeah.
critters.
I think
So
I think.
I do have one critique that's calling out to me about this piece. And it is that the one robot that we see the full body of looks like he's floating on top of the water, whereas the other guy's ankles look like they're under the water. And I'm not
Oh,
sure why that is. If it's deep enough for him to be under the water, why is that one not submerged?
it's just the way we perceive it. He could very well have longer legs. But yeah,
But then
I
the
get
way
what you're
that he
saying. Let
designed it, so it looks like
make
those are feet right there.
Yeah, make it
It
more
would
obvious. Just make it more obvious. Oh, not with the circle. Right, yeah. Just get it up there. I get it. Or make it
Yeah,
that one.
like it's got to look like his legs are going in the water too. If it's deep enough for his ankles to be submerged, his ankles should be too. I mean, I
This
guess you could argue there's a bit of rock right underneath it, but there's nothing to clue us into that, so it just looks like it's misspelled.
what is this liquid? This is
I
like
don't
something
know,
out
but I love it.
of Death Stranding. Like I can see like this dude chilling with Hideo Kojima and be like,
Is it terrible that my brain says it's the mushed up goo of whatever's in those houses?
yeah,
Oh yeah, that's fucked up. I don't
fucked
know.
up. Look at that. Look at you
I've
dropping
been
the
reading some
hammer.
crazy sci-fi recently, so I don't know about replicants being fed other replicants. So that's
Oh,
where my brain
that
went.
is. I think we're gonna agree on this to this level. That in this hose is some kind of body fluid. It is something. It's not urine, but it's something.
It is really cool though. I love the expressions on the robots' faces, the blank open eyes. It actually is very emotive.
Do you think this is all? Because you think like this, and I don't normally. But it's like, is this all metaphorical for like
I
houses and
hope it is.
babies and wombs and shit? And this is all like birth slop
Oh
and
no.
shit. Like,
Ew. Oh my
yeah.
god, that's worse than what I said. Oh my god.
Just saying.
It could be. It could be anything.
Thank
Um,
you, Pixel
but it's a
Man,
really cool piece,
for
though.
for getting the conversation started as a good illustration should. Because we just had
It's
one.
gonna be hard picking a favorite. Oh my goodness, there's some really cool pieces in here.
Yeah. Jefferson. Hey, Jefferson's back. We know that name. This might be the first name I recognize. I don't know. Sorry. Maybe Sammy. Sammy sounds familiar, but a lot of these I like. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm familiar with these.
I'm terrible with names. I remember people's faces.
Jefferson, this is cool. This is like textbook Monster House, and I don't
Yeah,
fault
I
and
feel
I
like
don't fault it for it.
I feel like when you were designing this prompt, this was like what you had in mind. You
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see a
Mm-hmm.
monster house, like a very
I
literal
got one
monster
up the
house.
road. I watched it on Netflix with my 4-year-old. I think the week before is what really prompted it. But yeah, that's what it looked like in here.
Oh my goodness.
Mm. I like the shapes. I like the composition. I do want to see like a little kid crawling away though, like and then like a foot hanging out of here though, like with a Nike on him, or like a shoe right there, and then it's like this little buddy Ray just like crawling away. He's like, ah, right. You got to draw his head in there.
Oh my God.
Give him a hat. Give him a green hat today, or no, he needs a trick or treating. I don't know. I can't draw hats today. Give him a pom pom, but yeah, something like that.
I am
There's some
feeling
weird things.
I'm feeling thrown off by some of just the really basic straight lines, like the straight line across the bottom, the straight line of the driveway, the straight line of the fence. Like, I don't know, like those shapes are in the way that you have the house all like mashed up and like twisting in interesting ways. Like I kind of want to see
That's
a
what makes
little
it
bit of
stand
that
out.
carryover. Maybe. And this isn't a style that I'm very good with, that I know a lot about because it's kind of flat cell
Well, let's
shading
talk about that.
and very graphic. Um, but I do feel like it's kind of skirting the line. Like I feel like it's not quite sure what it wants to be. Like it feels
Nope.
somewhat like it's meant to be cell shaded, but also like you get.
No, you know why? Can I interrupt?
Mhm.
Someone will yell me for it's because it's trying to do like line art and kind of like mass. Like it's trying to like do a couple things really equally, but not pulling one off as the dominant
Yeah,
style direction. Like it's tiptoeing in two different directions and it doesn't want to commit. Is exactly kind of how I'm interpreting it. Because it's
which
like,
is confusing
yeah,
my brain.
because like the drawing is there, but the drawing isn't like the strongest part of it, and then there's also equal amounts of color and lighting, but
Yeah, it's like they're
it's
trying to
not
render
nothing's
the
taking,
light space.
yeah, nothing's taking the lead in regards to like this is how it's going to be. But yeah, I think like see like here getting like this is really flat. Like I think we both know what's going on here, right? But it's like it also reads like it's like all one big flat piece. I don't know. So like regardless of style, it's like I would try to make this look less flat. That's what I'm just starting there, for lack of better words. Like get that to pop out. These shapes here are really distracting for me too. Like how sharp and aggressive. Like what are they?
But
Mountains?
I at least appreciate there's an attempt at shape there as opposed to the
Yeah.
fence or the top half of the painting where the clouds just kind of become this flat
I just
negative space.
I'd have this be like a neighborhood though. Like just have some tree shapes. Not like soft fuzzy trees like I'm drawing, but the bare ones. Late fall, a little bit of red in there too, probably to tie in with the background color a little bit. I do something a little like that, but I think that harmonize it a lot more. But yeah, like you said, like why is this fence so synthetically perfect? Like especially next to this house, like
It feels lazy. It feels
yeah,
like there's not a lot of thought. Like it doesn't have to be as like spooky and curved as the house, but at least some thought. Like maybe it just curves slightly to one
and
side.
like this is all perfect. Like why isn't it chipped anywhere? Why is it not overgrown? Because like it's a monster house.
Or just like the way that it curves ever so slightly, so it leads the eye into the painting in a
Yeah.
more interesting way. It
The
just
the
there's a
mail
lot of lost opportunities.
there's a weird scale situation too going on, and we're like a lot of mailboxes. This is my mailbox, right? I'm probably like this tall next to my mailbox. I get slightly higher than average, maybe. But like, try imagine that person. Even okay, maybe let's say I have
Going through that door.
yeah, but like yeah, let's say my mailbox is taller than average, but like for the scene, right? Person here is going to be that big, what the person here is going to be that big. That's still like you can't sell that scale of that and the bike, right?
And again, like where it's placed doesn't add anything to the painting. It doesn't lead the eye.
Mailboxes also aren't located there typically either. They're going to be on the
Yeah.
curb or on the street.
Like it would be cutting into the image from the foreground, like from the
Yep.
bottom of the painting.
Yep.
Which actually would be more interesting because it would break up space and create like a depth of field.
Yep.
And again, this is like a little bit of a pet peeve I have. It's just like the completely empty top of the painting where nothing intersects with the top edge of the painting. It's just all like a uniform gray. I would have like a little bit of that light, like pinkish light cutting up and intersecting with the edge of the painting.
A little something.
Maybe something coming out of the chimney, like something that just breaks that plane up a little bit so you feel like it's a scene that's like you're getting a glimpse of, and there's an outside world that it's a part of.
Well said.
And something to give the visual flow back into the painting.
The other thing that's irking me on that note is like these shapes here.
Yeah, those ones bothered me too. They call a lot of attention to themselves, but don't add much to the image.
Just remove them. Very cool, Jefferson. How many we got left? It's like, okay, I was gonna get a refill, but I think I can get some water.
We got 2 more?
Yeah, we got this.
I still got some whiskey. I'm good.
I need a bigger tiki glass, apparently, folks.
Next time.
Wait, who is this? Crunchy Nut. That is a familiar name, too. And this is really well done.
Yeah.
That's how you handle a sky plane. This is exactly what you're just talking about. Have a tree break it. Have some flowing line in the sky break it.
Yeah.
This is cool. This is really well
structured. I will say they did the opposite, though.
Yes.
The bottom plane.
No,
the ground plane. They've got a little bit, they got a little bit cutting across there, but I feel like a lot of the bottom just goes to black, and I feel like it could benefit with a little more of like leading lines. Like you could have some cool grassy shapes coming up like towards the girl. The dark shapes, like a little more interesting of a shape that kind of zigzags across the bottom.
Yeah.
To lead the eye up into there.
There's atmosphere around this
Or
too,
atmosphere.
right? And that's something to play up in a scene. You're in a scene like this, and then you can make those grass blades stick up without working for it. You know. What's the mist machine sound like? I tried to get one, but my wife yelled at me. I was like, "My room needs a mist machine." She's like, "No, kids are gonna break it." Yeah, I got yelled at for bringing that idea up. Unrelatedly, again, I'm
maybe next year.
My arcade in bar needs a mist machine, so it can match the look. I wouldn't do this. I'm just doing a generic grass brush, but like you could easily
even like especially like closer towards where she is.
Yeah, we're gonna
have like a little bit of those lines that kind of point up at her.
Yeah, we're gonna work that.
You get
it? Okay. Something in there. I'm doing it bad, but
you don't do it bad.
I just average. Okay, there we go. But yeah, you can get a little tooth out of the bottom. I think is what you were requesting.
Yeah. Don't just have it go black.
I think the purple. I guess I love a lot about this, but the sky color, I think, kind of.
Really?
I don't know. It's like really romantic, and maybe that's their thing. But
it surprises me because usually you like these like bright, contrasty colors. Usually I'm like, go monochrome.
Well, it's like yeah, but it's like purple to blue. But it's like I would probably treat it all. I grade 8 it. That was a mouthful for me at this hour. But like yellowish to that purple, for example, because that'll accent the yellows and the browns. Sorry, I think that would do that really well. I like this guy though. I like this. This is cool. See, they got the cat. She's holding a cat or bringing up an animal.
I don't know. I'm looking at it.
I'll bring it up.
Your screen, so it's a little harder for me to see.
Screen of a screen. There we go.
Yeah. It looks like some sort of animal that's like flopped over, like a sacrifice maybe.
See, that's an idea I had of that other painting. You got to bring your animal friend.
Yeah, it's spooky. I like it.
Pet cemetery. What if we had gravestones in this scene too?
I don't know.
Did you ever see that movie?
It's strange because no, actually, I haven't watched a lot of horror movies. I'm considering getting into it, but mostly I just watch sci-fi.
Well, are you into sci-fi and horror movies? Like, do you watch some Event Horizon, Alien,
Yeah,
Aliens?
I love Aliens. I love Event Horizons. I absolutely adored Annihilation, which I would classify that as a horror. That was pretty spooky.
Annihilation's rad.
So I
All
don't
right.
know, but like once it moves out of sci-fi, I have trouble. But I will
So,
say it's interesting because the house doesn't feel creepy. The house almost feels
no,
friendly.
it's a little
And
happy.
yeah, so I don't know if that's
It's the
intentional
eyes because the mouth is aggressive, but the eyes are soft. And
because it's like got that shape of
yeah,
the upward eyebrows, like the happy to please eyebrows. But
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know if that's intentional, but she seems way creepier than the house, in all honesty, which is kind of cool.
She's at a really weird proportion too, where like her top half is like adult proportion, and then it's like there's no feet or like a lot of
It's partly
dwarfism
because
going on.
it looks like there's a little bit of like a waist where like there's like a dark
Yeah,
indentation that kind of forms a line across the middle of her that's a little too low, so it makes her torso look too big, and her
but
arms
it's
is
see
also a
how
little
long
too
the
big.
arm
Yeah,
is, you know?
where that elbow is way too low.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like the person based off these proportions would be like maybe like that tall. Yeah.
Yeah, which I would work on just making like the arms smaller and maybe giving her a little more to the bottom.
Nice image though. I like it a lot. What we got here?
Last one.
Art site. Oh my god. This is cool. This
It's a
is
fun image.
this
Oh my
is
goodness.
Stranger Things,
That guy,
the
that
tentacle
guy's gonna be
monster.
all right. He's got this. He's got this. How about the people over there that don't give a fuck?
I think they need to be reacting a bit more. I mean, maybe he's hushed, but I get it. Yeah, I mean that's fine. A couple things
So
I do with this. I'm gonna go in. I could give the biggest thing is a little bit of something. Like, look what I just drew there. That's like a tumor on the house. But like, okay, let's say it's a chimney or whatever. You gotta bring a little. I said that really in a
mhm.
bossy type way, but it's like you gotta get like a little bit of light, in this to vignette the silhouette of the moat. That's like the most important thing. And it's like you could bring light with all these particles in the air. Look at that now. That's the jam. And then bring that over. And then the other thing, which is
It
this,
still feels dark.
yep. And the other staple, right, for something like this, the night dark scenes, you could have wet ground. You could have like those puddles in between the rocks and stuff. That's why every movie like this, the ground's always wet when they shoot night shots because it makes it interesting. Like find a good arrangement and pattern. I'm obviously drawing random squiggles and wiggles, but right, they should be somewhat reflective. I have my squeaky chair. Someone yell at me about getting a new one. I gotta get a new one.
Buy a new chair.
I'm lazy. Oh god, I got to. Guys, if you have a recommendation on badass office chairs, leave it in the comments below because I need one.
I stole John's. He got for
You
Christmas.
stole your husband's. That works.
It's a clutch. Apparently, it was like several $100s. It's very cozy. It's very
Yeah,
comfortable.
I don't even. This was a cheap chair. I don't even know if at this point in my life I'd trust buying a chair for like less than 500. Like I'd figure in terms of the standards out there, I'd probably be getting shit. So let me know if you got a good chair under 500 or if there's a real bank buster that's really sweet.
So in regards to the painting, there is something that's really bothering me about this piece, and I
Is it
feel like
the
it's something like in particular that gets to me is like the back and forth between realism and cartoon.
yeah,
It's like I don't know if uncanny valley is the right word, but it
it's
feels like
less real than
uncomfortable.
it's less real than cartoon, right?
Yeah, so like the sign and the hotel and the car feel very realistic in a way, stylized but realistic. You have some things that feel even more realistic, like the tree. Like I feel like there's certain areas where you've referenced real things more, but then you get to like this guy in the foreground and the tentacles and whatever's in that room, the door, and it all turns into like cartoon land. And it feels like not it feels like there's like three different styles at least in this painting that are fighting for dominance.
Yeah, I agree. It's just too much.
Yeah.
You could like keep pushing the shapes of these, you know, a little wonkier, but I definitely would make the character get a little realer. Um,
Yeah, I think that the middle road, like you have something that's going on with the car and the building, especially when Tyler added in the roof, that feels very like stylized and designed, but also like slightly realistic. It's really nice. But then I feel like you get to the right side of the painting and it gets too realistic for everything else and it stands out. And then you get to the left side and it gets too cartoony. So
yeah,
I would
like
try to unify that.
literally on the opposite sides. But this is cool though.
And can I can I do one more thing? I'm sorry. So the other thing is compositional. So you
I
have this
know.
guy being dragged into the building
Yeah.
and it is definitely taking center or second stage to this giant sign on the right side of the painting. And they almost feel like two separate paintings that are warring for attention. Mhm.
I was thinking that all along, and I've just once you got me on style, I was
I'm sorry.
no, but you're 100% right because like the first thing I notice in this painting every single time is the sign.
Yep.
And that's true to like, yeah, this is exactly how it would look. So right, the strategy has to come back at like how do I take less attention there or design enough elements in the picture so that they really work, you know, for
Yeah.
that.
I feel like the sign again is like it's more of like looking at realism like a photo, but it's a photo doesn't always make a good painting. And so it's how do you make that less important? Yeah, cropping it is a good way. The other thing would be to just bring like some trees overlapping it. So you just see like some little bits of the light peeking out from behind the trees.
Yeah, either way, like I mean, this clearly seems to be what it's about, and I think it should work better to frame that.
And even if you still have like part of the sign in there, the fact that it's cut off on the edge will
Yeah.
uh, knock it down the
It's
hierarchy.
it's a lot, and it's a tough call either way. And
But right now, it's the sign is the painting.
try to yeah, you get and those are the decisions you got to weigh at the start. Like, where's the attention going to pull? How am I going to direct the viewer's eye? And man, you're right. A painting is going to manage the viewer's attention, and that's what this isn't doing as well as it ought to do. All
Um,
right, so we talked about things. We may have tossed a chair and a table in the process, but these are where
there was some flying.
we agree that these two are both of our favorites.
Yes.
In no particular order. They're just like one is very safe, on point and on theme, and the other very right, very well technical done, and it digs those deeper questions. It's that other
There's storytelling, but we just don't know the story.
it
But
scratches that itch.
it definitely makes us curious and want to know the story.
And it's
And they're
well
both
done.
very expressive and very well executed.
And we
Full
couldn't agree on
personality.
any kind of runner-up system, so I
I really wanted to
removed
pick
them all, and then
Felix's.
Jess got mad, and she liked Felix's, and I was fighting for these other guys. It was a real,
It
we
was
were
not
going
good.
at it, but we're
I
both
almost
here,
won.
and we're just gonna go with these two to be straight on this. But thank you guys for your submissions. I'll put the following challenge and the date after this, which has got to be, of course, winter and some kind of theme. Yeah, for winter, I
Yeah.
think. Christmas, maybe. We did a good one last year,
Probably
the Postman or something. Yeah, I don't know. We got to think about what
like
it is.
Christmas, Thanksgiving. I guess it'll be right
We're gonna
before.
buy, yeah, but we'd bypass. Yeah, we'd bypass Thanksgiving. Then it takes us like 2 weeks to get these reviewed, even after they're due.
It'll be good. Whatever it
Hey,
is,
at
it'll be
Christmas
good.
we'll be reviewing the Thanksgiving theme.
Fair, fair.
All right.
But congratulations, these are very
Yeah,
cool.
these are
Thank you
awesome.
guys.
These are awesome. And thank you for coming aboard, having a drink, and getting these reviewed for
I'm
sure.
always game.
I know. Right. Stop there. I'll figure. I don't know. I don't know at all what theme I'm gonna go with this time.
Oh.
I don't know. I usually
I
am
feel like
much
my
better.
suggestions are always off base from the direction you want to go, so I'll let you do that
No,
part.
no, you just give me something.
What?
Give me
I
something.
could you can't put me on the spot like that. I'm
You're
not
not on the.
prepared.
I'm not recording. You can just think. Get back to me in 24 hours.
All right.
Hey guys, so the next challenge is going to be the Sacred Machines due at the end of December. So have fun, interpret that as you will. Try to have something fun and creative, and of course polish it the best you can. Looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Take care.